Reich Watch.
Welcome, Sandy Hook researchers. The Saiga 12 shotgun. As seen in the trunk, this is a photo from the final reports when they opened the trunk while the helicopter was flying around, and that's what they saw and took photos of before the guy grabbed it and put his hands all over it. Hopefully he was wearing rubber gloves, but that's besides the point. The reason I was looking into the shotgun is because of the recent Adam Lanza photo, the new photo that was released that I made video about. And I just decided to revisit the shotgun. I had already looked at the information, but not as closely as I just did. And I've found some incredibly interesting discrepancies, which will be at the end of this video. So there's a fairly big reveal at the end. I'm going to walk you through a few things first, and I'm going to do it in short order, hopefully. Now, what's interesting is when I went to look at the shotgun again, this is the shotgun in the trunk with only 2 magazines, one in the gun, one up to the right. Those are 10-round magazines. Now what's interesting is when I went and looked at the gun, the original purchase, he purchased the gun with an 8-round magazine, and then he also purchased an additional 8 10-round magazines. So if you're going to go to war, why are you only bringing, in your empty trunk by the way, why are you only bringing 2 10-round mags? Why wouldn't you have every mag you own? Plus, somehow he got 2 20-round drum magazines. I'm not sure when he purchased those, but he also had those. So you have well over 100 rounds of ammo that could be sitting here, and he only brings 2 10-round magazines. So this is very odd. So let's get along to the guns and what he had, what Nancy bought for him. Here's one of the final reports. This is 000-13039. And you can see in the center is the Ishmash 12-gauge shotgun. Serial number, I'm not going to read it off. You can read it. And it was purchased April 10th, 2010. That's in the final reports. Now, I was looking around for all the other magazines that he purchased because they weren't in the trunk. I wanted to make sure they were all accounted for. And they were. Surprisingly, I found them. But what I found when I was looking for the magazines is I noticed this. This is in the inventory report of the home. And it says at the bottom, paperwork for Kanta shotgun. Well, when I saw that, I was like, what the heck is a Kanta shotgun? So I went and I did a search, and I noticed that the Kanta is another name for Saiga. And so that was fine. I was like, okay, there's some explanation for why that is. It's spelled Kanta, or something that appears to look like Kanta, but it's pronounced Saiga in Russian, who makes the Saiga shotgun. And so that's why there's this other spelling of it. And so I didn't mention also this is from report number SEC 11 or SEC 11, SEC 11. And this was in the closet of the bedroom. So I found this interesting, and I noticed it had a different serial number. Even though it is a Saiga, it has a completely different serial number. So this is rather odd. So I went to look at the photos to see what the photos showed, and I found this in the section of the photos in the closet. And you can see here it's the Canta, which is a Saiga, and it's a shotgun. Now, what's interesting is if you look at the paperwork of that, it mentioned, or if you look at the document I just showed, it said it was paperwork on it. It wasn't just a manual, it was paperwork with a serial number. There were other manuals there, they were just manuals. This was called paperwork, and it was a separate section they gave with a serial number, so it was more than just a manual. Now, if we go back to the report I showed you earlier, you can see it's a different serial number. How does he have two different shotguns with two different serial numbers? Now, this list of 6 guns is a list of the current guns that they had. It's not a list of all the guns they ever owned. So it could be that they had a Saiga shotgun of a different serial number before, and they sold it, or something happened to it. Maybe it was stolen. Maybe it was given to somebody. I don't know. But somehow they had to buy another shotgun for some reason. So there's more to this than this, though. This is where we're going to get to the interesting part. The same report that I'm showing here on screen here, if you scroll down to the end of it, page 23 and 24, you can see here that it's they bridge at the end of 23 and the beginning of 24 is all the information I want to look at here. Now at the top, registered guns, 4. Below that, unregistered guns, 1. And if you look at the unregistered guns, you'll see that it's a long gun with labeled as an L. And if you go by the date given, then you can determine that that is the Savage 22 rifle in the list that we just looked at previously. Okay. That solves that riddle. Why it was unregistered, I'm not sure. But that's 5 guns in total, and she had a total of 6 guns. What gun is missing? Well, we see the list of Bushmaster, Enfield, Glock, Sig, and the unregistered Savage. We do not have the Saiga 12 gauge. This is a big problem. So in summation, we have 2 Saiga 12 gauge shotguns not registered. Neither are registered according to the current paperwork that we're looking at. So I'm putting them side by side so you can see completely different serial numbers. Now it is confusing that this Russian gun is made by Ishmash, and it's called a Saiga and a Canta, but they're all the same thing apparently. However, we have 2 different guns with 2 different serial numbers. Kind of a problem. Now, what is the problem with Nancy not registering this gun? Why did she not register it? Because my friend JFK, who I mentioned this information to, I said, what the heck would be the problem with doing this? Because it sounds like you'd be breaking the law. And anyway, he was helpful, and he came back to me and said, showed me a document that he went and found. And it, according to the rules around 2011, you're looking at 1 to 5 years in jail, 2-year minimum, $5,000 fine possible. So this is not something you'd want to mess around with. And why would Nancy not register this gun when she had all these legal guns? She's from a police family, and I have this impression that she does everything by the book, and she would have registered this gun. Also, she purchased it in April of 2010, and if you do the math on that, you're up to 2 years and 8 months, just over that, not having it registered for 2 years and 8 months. So closing in on 3 years not registered, if you want to go to jail for 2 years mandatory, this is what you would do. It does not make any sense. Now, what this also opens up is the fact of, why are we not allowed to see the entire list of the Lanza's guns? what they bought, what they sold, what they bought, what they sold. We're only allowed to see the current 6 guns. Why is that? What's the secret? Well, I want to bring up, of course, the 54 pages of guns missing due to grand jury material. So this means 54 pages of Nancy's private guns, her private gun records, were confiscated because they were in her private gun file inside her home, and they were not allowed to be seen by anybody because they were part of a grand jury. That means they were being used to determine if someone should be indicted for a crime. Why would her 54 pages of private guns be used to indict somebody for a crime? Now, I will say that I'm not a lawyer, but I will say through determining this just by logic that the charges could not be against her. Because if this was an indictment against her, it would either have happened or not happened. If it did not happen, then we would not even know about it. It would not even be mentioned, and we would see all of her guns, and it would be no problem. If it was an indictment against her, or if she was indicted, we would know. There would be a court case, etc. That did not happen. So these are not involving her. They're her guns, her private guns on record that she purchased. Those were being used to indict someone else. That's the only solution. That's why we cannot see them. Now, how can her personal gun records, 54 pages, which is a lot of guns. I don't care how many guns are on a page. We don't know. We don't know how many pages are cover pages, this and that. Even if half the pages are cover pages, the other half are guns, you're looking at something like 27 guns that we're not allowed to know about. Very odd. And why are her personal guns being used to investigate and potentially indict somebody else? Is it anything to do with her hanging out at her local bar and asking people how to get rid of illegal guns when she didn't supposedly have any illegal guns? She would have no reason to have illegal guns, but she's asking people how to get rid of them? Or would it be anything to do with Adam Lanza being on gun forums asking people how to do illegal gun things for no reason, because he had all the guns he wanted and he had no reason to do any kind of illegal gun transactions? Why would he be on gun forums asking stupid questions about illegal gun activity? Think about that. So in summation, 2 Saiga 12 shotguns not registered. Add that to the mystery list.
Authorities say he was wearing black battle fatigues and a military vest. He had 3 guns, a Sig Sauer handgun, a .223 Bushmaster, and a 9mm Glock handgun.